My colleagues, Councilmember Koretz and Parks. Any word on their arrival?
Find out.
We're checking on their arrival time. See, 5 items on the agenda. No, you don't need to check. If they're here, they're here. If they're not, they're not. Don't worry about it. They know the time and the location. So let's start with number 1, please.
On item 1, you have a report from the mayor, and this is nominating Doug Collins to the Employee Relations Board for the term ending September 23rd, 2014.
Vacancy created by Barbara Miller. Hello,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Collins. I know we were supposed to have a scheduled meeting before, but it was back-to-back, so I figured.
Yeah, your office called me on the way here.
Why
and
say
told me-
twice? Why say the same thing twice?
That's
you know?
right.
That's what I thought. So tell us why you want to go to the Employee Relations Board.
Well, for one thing, I was asked. And second, it's pretty much what I do have done for all of my adult life. As you can see from my resume, I was the executive director of the board, excuse me, from 1972 to 2000 when I retired from city service.
So are you currently retired and available?
Yeah,
At a moment's
I
notice,
have a
like-
private practice as a labor arbitrator, but my calendar is such that it's under my control, and I can easily attend the meetings on Mondays.
How often do they meet?
Once a month, every fourth Monday,
Okay.
plus as needed, which are quite rare.
And I've been before the ERB before,
Yes.
so your experience definitely qualifies you from that. So you're the executive director, so you knew what was going on big time.
Ostensibly, yes.
Allegedly. So you're a perfect fit for that position. Very good.
I do want to point out, though, just so that it's clear on the record, that, and it is certainly from my resume, that I am a retired city employee.
Right.
I don't know whether that's a matter of concern to anyone.
But this isn't a full-time position. This is
No,
a commission.
that's
and-
right. It's not subject to it. The only question would be whether issues affecting retirement might come before the board, and of course they could. Retirement is a mandatory subject of bargaining, and the city and the unions do bargain about it. But the unions, as you know, don't represent retired employees, and the benefits for retired employees are not set through collective bargaining, so I don't see how that could be a conflict. And if somehow it came up, of course, I'd recuse myself, but I just wanted to be clear about that. The other point that I need to bring out, also clear from my resume, is that I am not a resident of the city of Los Angeles any longer. I live in Hermosa Beach, and consequently, I'm not a registered voter in the city of Los Angeles. The mayor's office has assured me, however, that despite the provisions of, excuse me, Charter Section 501, that is not a impediment to my being appointed.
I understand that position. You don't have to be a city resident. Maggie Whalen, you're here to verify that?
No, I'm here in support, but not to verify that.
Oh.
It's a legal opinion.
It's a legal opinion. Our attorney from the city attorney's office?
I'd have to check into that. I don't know.
I understand from the past, because we've had other representatives on
We've
that
had,
weren't
I counted, and I could remember at least 11, including 3 current board members who are not,
City
or
residents.
were not city residents. At one time, we had 3 people from San Diego, so.
Now,
But
do
that
they
was
get-
then, and I don't know whether the new charter makes any difference.
Do they get paid mileage
No.
commuting, or they get paid while they're in session?
There's a per diem rate that's paid to the commissioners, but no expenses.
Okay. And it's all conducted at City Hall East?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any problem with it. I've been before them in the past, in my previous life, so you're more than qualified. You'd probably tell the new executive director, maybe I'll be seeking your advice.
Well, we speak now and then.
Okay. Mr. Koretz is joining us. We are on item number 1.
And I apologize, I'll give you advance warning. I'm here for about 20 minutes and then have to go to Energy and Environment Committee.
So do I.
So I guess we'll do what we can.
We'll run through them as quickly as possible and make sure they're accurate. Do you have any questions on Mr. Collins, who was the former executive director, and now he's retired, and he's going to be a commissioner on the ERB?
No questions, no problems.
Eminently qualified. Okay, so we will pass you on down. When did you go to the council?
On Friday,
This Friday.
yes.
All right. Will you be able to fight that 405 one more time?
No longer. I don't fight the 405. I fight the 101, or the Harbor Freeway now.
Oh, that's right.
I
Well,
moved.
you're in.
I used to be in West Hills. 29 years
So
in
you
West
went to Hermosa Beach.
Yeah.
Aren't you coming up to 405 from Hermosa?
No, I come over to the harbor.
Okay, so
Because otherwise it takes me through West LA and then I got to come the,
I used to live
Santa
down at the
Monica.
beach in my younger years, and I remember the traffic. Rosecrans to the
Yep.
110. Okay. It's a nice area. So enjoy whatever retirement you're going to have, and then the rest of the time you'll be here with us.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 2, please.
On item 2, you have a report from the Community Development Department. This is relative to a third and final year civil service exemption extension for one grant-funded project coordinator.
Good afternoon. On number 2,
Good afternoon. Mike Balakowitz with Community Development Department. With me is Renee Jones.
so you want a re-exemption for a grant-funded project, which is not going to take any from the general fund.
That's correct. The project coordinator position is 100% community development block grant funded. There will be zero impact to the general fund.
And what happened to the person that had that position?
Actually, the person is still in the position. This is the 1-year extension of the exemption that was issued in 2007.
So they'll continue with the same programs?
That's correct.
Okay, position fully funded community development project as follows. What's this indirect cost of $45,000? What do they get for $45,000?
That's the related cost. That's the benefit contribution, all the fringe benefits that are included on top of the straight labor cost.
Okay, how many folks in this particular position?
There's just the one project coordinator.
coordinator?
Yeah.
There's only one?
Yes.
So they coordinate domestic violence task force, meeting agenda and analysis, domestic violence. So it's all about domestic violence.
That's correct.
We got one person, that's it? For all
Actually,
the
I'd-
domestic violence problems we have in the city?
I'll defer to Renee Jones, who's our technical expert on that program.
She's the liaison with the Domestic Violence Task Force. We have other analysts that actually handle domestic violence contracts, but she's the liaison with the task force.
With the police task force, the police officers, and all the other components?
Yes.
Julie Butcher, why are you not supporting this one?
No, I'm sorry.
When I see Julie Butcher here, I pay attention to see that this is fall within the proper guidelines. Paul Koretz, questions on this?
No, it looks like a good program to continue and doesn't cost us anything, so I don't see why not.
And that's paid for by the feds or the state?
That's paid for by the
The Fed-
CDBG.
CDBG?
Yes.
Okay, they keep on threatening to cut those dollars, but I guess not yet. And we know domestic violence is a major problem that we need to deal with and hopefully have an impact on eliminating, not reducing, but eliminating that from our society. Okay, you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And it's done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 3, we're joined by Mr. Parks on number 3.
On number 3, you have before you a motion by Mr. Wizard and Parks relative to the authorization of one engineering associate 2. This for the Department of Transportation for 1 year from July 1, 2009 to June 30, 2010. This will be in the Signal and Geometric Design Division. This will be fully funded by the Los Angeles Unified School District. And Transportation Committee has waived consideration of this matter, and it also was referred to Budget and Finance.
You know, I like when we get this funded by some other entity. It makes it a lot easier. We don't have to go trying to find the dollars. Geometric Design Division, Signal Geometric Design Division, exactly what are they going to do?
Good afternoon, Chomsky from LADOT. LAUSD is building 29 new schools, and as a result of that, they're going to be installing 52 new traffic signals. So these designers will review the plans that are prepared in conjunction with the school construction for the traffic signals. Geometric design means the stripes and lanes and lines on the pavement and the roads. So they are preparing the plans, but they have to be reviewed and approved by the city. With the current staffing, we can't get to their plans in a manner that matches their construction schedule. So they have offered to fund a position so that we can review theirs on a separate track, basically put their priorities on their schedule so that their schools aren't delayed in openings.
And what happens when those schools are complete and the traffic matters all resolved? What happens to that position?
We are filling a vacant position for 1 year with this
So
motion.
it's a one-year position?
Yeah, it's a 1 year
And after
position.
that time, if there's a position, fine. If not, then it moves off.
That's correct.
Okay. And they're paying the full tab.
Right, no impact to the general fund.
That's just for this project.
That's just, yeah, it's for a project, they have a list of 29 schools that are currently going to be opening between 2010 and 2012. It's possible, if there's more bond dollars and they build more schools, they might ask to extend this, but at this point, it looks like it's a 1 year. We can get through the 52 plans that they'll be submitting.
Great.
Mr. Parks?
Let me just ask, we're several months behind schedule, so how are we going to do this 1 year of work in 8 months, or?
It would continue through the first quarter of the next fiscal year.
Okay, so the funding will be up front. It's not.
They are going to pay quarterly in advance, is what we've tentatively agreed with the school district. So they'll take the amount divided by 4 and then write us a check every quarter before we do the work.
Okay, so this will take us not to June 2010, what will it take us to?
Probably not past September of 2010. We're going to work out an MOU between the LAUSD and the city to delineate the work responsibilities, the payment schedule and everything, and in there we'll indicate the length of time that the position will go. If they're able to submit, their plans are designed by private consultants and turned into us for review. If they can accelerate their design consultants and turn them in, we'll review them as they come in.
So we're not doing any of the engineering work, we're just reviewing their design.
Reviewing and approving so they can go to construction, that's correct.
So then the issue is, basically they're going to pay us for whatever the length of time the person's in place. If they're there for 6 months,
Well, we don't expect it to be less than the 1 year time frame.
They're in agreement for a one-year
Yes,
contract
that's correct.
to play quarterly in advance.
That's correct.
Mr. Parks?
that's it.
Mr. Koretz?
No other questions?
That matter is going to be unanimously approved then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 4, please.
This is also a Department of Transportation item. They have submitted reports on
And we'll waive
potential new parking meters and
waive the
associated
budget
staffing.
finance.
And we're going to waive the previous item from Budget and Finance. Mr. Parks has agreed to waive that from Budget and Finance.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Item 4 has been before the Transportation Committee, and they have recommended that the report be received and filed, and that the Managed Hiring Committee review all the necessary forms and make a recommendation on this matter.
So you're saying that it's been requested by the Transportation Committee to receive and file, and that the managed hiring is going to review these positions?
Yes.
So we're not going to make a decision to approve anything today? Ms. Gibson?
Our recommendation is to receive and file, similar to the Transportation Committee's recommendation.
What do you think about that, Mr. DOT?
Good afternoon. Yeah, we're here just in case there's some questions that you have for us, but we are going to go through the managed hiring process and put in the proper request. We just thought maybe we wanted to hear from us on the urgency of the positions and how it's impacting the revenues.
Well, it's going to come back here after it goes to the managed, correct?
No, sir. The managed hiring process includes participation by the CAO, CLA, and the mayor's office, and that process for consideration of requests for unfreezes was approved by council. And we agree that the Transportation Committee made the appropriate action because we think it's important to maintain the integrity of the process that was approved
I understand
by
that,
council.
but once it goes through that, it goes directly to council, or does it go to committees?
No, it doesn't go back to committee. Once the committee approves the unfreeze, then the department is notified, and they will then have the authority to fill the positions.
Okay, and they will review the funding, et cetera.
And that's one of the critical considerations of the committee is what the funding source is.
Okay. So you're getting nothing today?
We understand.
All right.
We're just here in case you had any
I
questions.
don't want to belabor the point since it's going to go to another review process.
I understand.
Purpose and-
Well, I wouldn't mind asking just a brief question of, as you said, what the urgency is of this and what the fiscal impacts would be of not doing it.
Sure. Let me just turn it over to Dan Mitchell, my senior engineer in charge of the parking programs, and he can just quickly give you a few minutes on that.
Sure. Dan Mitchell, Senior Transportation Engineer for LADOT. Yeah, currently, we have a 20% vacancy rate, and that is before the anticipated vote on a coalition arrangement. So that if there were a reduced work plan that reduced by 3.5 hours per pay period, that would reduce it yet another full-time equivalent position. When we compared against other large cities where our ratios are even higher than equivalent cities. So meaning that if we maintained the same ratios as other large cities, we would actually increase our staff beyond fully staffing it. The revenue impacts, if we fully staffed our program, would actually produce a net revenue in the remainder of the fiscal year of $360,000. That was our estimate.
How about with just the project as it's discussed here?
That's what's discussed here. Is
So
fully
is fully funding.
Yeah, funding from SPRF, the positions that are already approved. So we have several vacancies due to staff that have retired, passed away, transferred out.
So we have to continue to kind of go back. We have an aging meter infrastructure that hasn't been changed. The technology's old. So we're getting people putting more monies and coins, and they're breaking more often. So obviously we need our meter techs to help jamming those, clear the jams and get those things fixed so that we can get the revenues in place. And as we try to go and replace all of that technology, it's still going to take some time. So that's why we're going to go through the managed hiring process, provide all the information they need, the importance, the fiscal impacts, and see what that committee says, and hopefully go through council. But these are very important positions for us.
How many meters do we have in the entire city?
Roughly about 40,000, sir.
40,000? And we're installing the new ones where you put the meter and they have the receiving box in the block and you have to walk down and put the number, et cetera. We're installing those citywide or just certain areas?
We did the pilot program where we changed out roughly about 5.5%, 6% of the city. So we're waiting right now to release an RFP for the modernization and change out. But we haven't released the RFP, and that program would probably take 2 years to accomplish for the rest of the city.
And that system's more sophisticated than our current system.
That system has a lot of benefits and conveniences. People can pay with credit card, with cell phones. You would have better options, it alerts our technicians in real time via text messages that the machines are broken or the box is full, come and collect from me. So there's a lot of good things we need to do. It's just the time that it's going to take to get there. We might have to think of an interim program here, but we are truly understaffed in that section right now, and we'll just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Let me ask you, when you gave the figure 360,000, that's your estimate on revenue?
Yeah, that's the net increase in revenue for fully staffing. That's on the last page of the report. So to be more clear, answer Councilmember Corrett's question, we estimate that we're going to lose $662,000 through the remainder of this fiscal year because we don't have all of the parking meter technicians positions filled. If we filled them, that would cost approximately $300,000 and generate $660,000, leaving a net revenue of $360,000. That's just parking meter revenue, not to mention providing the service that these parking meters are supposed to provide, which is providing the turnover and supporting the business, which increases the sales tax base and so forth.
Thank you. Mr. Koretz?
No, that's all I had to ask.
Parks?
No, that's it.
Okay, we will then.
We'll waive that one also.
we will
Concur with
even file-
Transportation Committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll waive that on budget and finance.
Budget and Finance is going to waive that also. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 5, please.
For item 5, the Personnel Department has submitted a report. This is relative to consolidated reasonable accommodations for employees with permanent work restrictions as a result of industrial and non-industrial injuries or illnesses, and this for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2008-09.
Raylan Napper, Personnel Department.
What happened to Margaret Whalen? She left you all by yourself.
She did, but Ms. Lyons is here. So
Oh, yes, she
Be all right.
is. Okay.
This report, regular report, shows the city's efforts to reasonably accommodate employees with permanent work restrictions due to industrial and non-industrial injury or illness. And this covers the fourth quarter of the last fiscal year, so April through June of 2009. Attachment 1, page 1, shows the workers' compensation data for the fiscal year 08-09. Page 2 is fiscal year 07-08.
I see light duty hours here.
Light duty hours, yes. Light duty hours are good.
Okay.
Those are, we're getting some work out of injured employees.
I thought you said permanent, but this is,
They do have, well, it could be temporary or permanent.
okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Right. So the light duty hours worked, and the IOD, injury on duty saved, are the hours times the employee's salary. So when those numbers are up, that's good. And then the IOD spent are the employees that are not at work in
Right.
any capacity. So when that is up, that's not good. If you look at the fourth quarter, as compared to the previous fiscal year, LED hours and IOD spent are up slightly, 3% for the hours and about 9% for the IOD saved. And the IOD spent is down 27% from the previous fiscal year, which again is a very good thing. And if you look at the 4 quarters for the fiscal year, they've consistently trended down, which is also positive.
Do we target those departments that seem to have a greater problem than others? For safety, for training, for in-house?
Yes, particularly the fire department and the police department have fairly robust return to work or medical liaison units. And our workers' compensation division has been working closely with them as well. Well, for those, the third-party administrator as well has been very aggressive, and they've been making progress.
It looks like Rex and Parks is high, street services is high,
Right.
police,
Police LAWA is fairly high as well.
yes. So
The-
do
the
all
lar-
of those departments have in-house programs to address this issue?
Yes, they do. It may be fewer in staff, but they do. And our workers' compensation division provides them with this data so they can see just where they stand in terms of cost.
You know what I'd like to do for this committee, since it is the Personnel Committee, and that's a drain on dollars, obviously, when people aren't here, is to have the top 10 departments, a report on what programs they have in place to address this issue. And we'll just take the top 10. If we can get that back, 60 days, 90 days, so we can see exactly what they've got, and maybe one department has a better program than the other to address those issues. Because it's obviously a concern to keep them healthy, keep them working, because the folks that aren't there put a bigger drain on the folks that are there.
Exactly.
That's a huge issue.
Yes, we can do that. We'll get that back to you.
Yeah, just do the top 10, and
Okay.
then we can maybe get some ideas, some of the programs that some people may have or not have, and disseminate that information. Mr. Parks?
No questions.
Mr. Koretz?
Nothing else.
So we will then, this particular report we'll receive and file, but then we'll request the other one back. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, everyone. And that concludes the personnel meeting for today at 2:27.
Well, that was
Well, that's what happened.
on to our next.
We rock and